Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to our February AMA. I can't believe it's February already, but it's been a very exciting month. Ethereum Denver and HederaCon are just right around the corner. Marcus and Joseph will be attending those events, and Joseph will be speaking at HederaCon. So come see us at the booth. SaucerSwap will have stickers, t-shirts, hats. So please stop by and say hello to us. And today, ABFTFTW is our co-host.
Just sipping some delicious teas, boys and girls. Thank you, Pineapple, for the intro. Always a pleasure hosting these AMAs with you. I, for one, am also stoked to see what Joseph has to say at HederaCon, but let's get started with today's AMA. Pineapple.
So the first question is from Anon. Is SaucerSwap a U.S. company? Are there any new or different business opportunities opening up after crypto regulations are becoming less threatening in the United States? Do we have any insights? On to you, Peter.
Yeah. Hey everyone. So SaucerSwap is proudly a US company. Right now, crypto regulations haven't really changed in a way that affects us, but there does seem to be more optimism in general for US-based crypto companies. Of course, that's one of the primary narratives right now in Web3. So I do think our runway looks good for the foreseeable future. Right now, there aren't really any regulations that affect our day-to-day operations, but we are proud to be a US company as well as Hedera being a US company. So I think fitting into that narrative is definitely advantageous for us.
That's true. A little known fact about SaucerSwap is if you cross off some of the letters, it spells USA. First question from me comes from Maurice. Out of everything that was marked as immediate in the roadmap revealed on January 2nd, what will actually be released in the first quarter of this year? What new features are currently in development?
Yeah, so looking at our Jira board, the items we have completed so far are the global search bar implementation, the Sauce 300 pool ranking system, although this has been updated to be the Sauce 50, and it has importantly tied into the next ticket, which we have completed, which is the improved token classification and listing system. In case anyone is looking in our API, I think the Sauce 50 has been renamed to Top Pools, but Noob can correct me if I'm wrong. He sent a message just before the AMA on that. And just going back to the improved token classification listing system, this should be a much better system for token creators and our broader user base, making token listing more automated and more frictionless. Last but not least, what we have completed is a basic user support triaging system automation. So you may have seen the bot in our general channel. We now have that in tickets. It has really actually freed up resources for us internally quite significantly, especially for Noob, who is our all-star project manager, obviously wears multiple hats, works incredibly hard. So going forward in the first quarter, I think we will also complete a few items. One is the brand refresh, which I think is quite important to create a more professional and mature image for our project. And this is an effort to attract more serious players and institutions. That also ties into our strategy of going to HederaCon and ETH Denver, which I will touch on later in the AMA. So that ticket, the brand refresh, is currently being worked on. We are working with an outside studio for that brand refresh. We're really excited about this one. If you are looking for inspiration for some cool like Web3 branding, Aave actually went through a brand refresh recently, and I'm personally a really big fan of it. I think they nailed it. So I think it's aave.com/brand. They did a really good job. Anyway, beyond that, we are working on the chart library migration. So we actually started with a TradingView chart library called Lightweight Charts. When we did our first website redesign last year, we basically migrated to a proprietary library in order to support our data types and basically make it work for that redesign. But now that we're going forward, we're actually going to go back to lightweight charts, but do a better implementation. So the lightweight charts, the analytics subdomain from the early days of SaucerSwap, analytics.saucerswap.finance, those were some pretty rudimentary lightweight charts. We'll be going back to that library, but doing it more sophisticated. So that is part of the website redesign as well, that chart migration. I think that will be done this quarter. The redesign itself is a larger ticket item. I think that will fall into the second quarter of this year. Another item that is under development is transaction success rate and reliability optimization. We are working on systems to better track transaction success rate in order to optimize our app for that metric specifically. This one is a little bit hard to track down. We, only have qualitative data from support tickets, people saying, transactions are not going through. So we want to quantify it and make it better. So we are doing that. And of course, the Axelar bridge integration has been postponed a few times. It is likely to happen this quarter. We will have more clarity on that next week. We have a call with the HBAR Foundation this coming week to talk about bridge updates. We should be talking about Axelar as well as Layer Zero's Stargate bridge, which will likely come after Axelar, but should also be in the not too distant future.
Thanks for that, Peter. Lots of really cool back-end work that's being optimized. The next question is from Mark, and he's asking, quote unquote, why did SaucerSwap lie about Coinbase and Binance applications? Are you guys seriously considering it? Why is it taking so long to get there? Any updates from HBAR Foundation or Charles Atkins regarding support for HTS listings on Coinbase Binance? Are the appropriate wheels getting grease? And then in all caps, don't have another AMA until Sauce is listed on Coinbase or Binance. So what are your thoughts on that, Peter?
All right. Yeah, what a loaded question. I think it's actually 3 separate questions. So just to answer that first statement, we obviously did not lie about the applications. Those were submitted. Just to draw a parallel, if you submit an application for Harvard, doesn't mean you're going to Harvard. You submitted an application. That's what we did. We submitted applications for Coinbase, Binance, and other exchanges. We, of course, hope for more listings to broaden access, but we don't have control over this. And just to answer this directly, because there are some interesting propositions about where we should, allocate funding and resources. To be clear, even if we pivoted all of our resources towards listings, which would, of course, be incredibly foolish, there is no guarantee that we would get listed anywhere. So we will continue to have AMAs to talk about valuable questions from the community, regardless of any listings, and we will give updates on any listings as we have them.
No, you can't just have AMAs until Sauce is listed on Coinbase or Binance. Mark said so. All right. Next question comes from Shui. When will the Axelar bridge be implemented? It was expected in January, I believe. And how do you think it benefits SaucerSwap from a price perspective?
Yeah, so we can't comment on the second part of that question. We can talk about other expected impact on users and liquidity, which we think is substantial. So one of the biggest pain points for Hedera DeFi, and if you've been around and played around in the ecosystem, this has been self-evident, is a comparative lack of interoperability that has dampened efforts across the ecosystem, including our own, to bring over new users and activity to the network. With the Squid Router bridge powered by Axelar and with other bridges we know to be integrating with Hedera, like Stargate from Layer Zero, we expect significant improvements across all metrics relevant to SaucerSwap success, as well as the success of the broader Hedera DeFi ecosystem. As for the timeline, it does appear to be a moving target. It's obviously very frustrating for us as well. but we have reason to believe that it will happen this quarter, hopefully before the next AMA. That would just be for Squid Router, not Stargate. I think Stargate's probably going to be the second quarter, if I had to guess. We have a call with the foundation this coming week, as I mentioned, to get an update on bridges. So hopefully from that call, we can move forward with a go-to-market strategy in the near future. Just for the sake of transparency, we did actually discuss a go-to-market back in December, but I believe they hit some sort of technical hurdle. I don't know exactly what that entails, because I think they did have something working on testnet, but it's still, still going to happen. Hopefully it happens before the next AMA. It should happen this quarter.
Thanks for that, Peter. This next one is 2 questions, but they're a similar topic. Part 1, why has there been no marketing, just a few tweets since the last AMA when you announced there would be? And why isn't the SaucerSwap team taking advantage of this bull market to boost their visibility and product adoption? Are they waiting for something specific to go all in?
Yeah, this is a good question for me and Pineapple Song, because we've been working under a new system for the last month and just started to really get into the flow recently, and it's been really good. Actually, we're using a product called Buffer, which allows us to post to X, Blue Sky, and Threads, and I think we're able to add support for LinkedIn. Unfortunately, it doesn't integrate with Telegram or Discord, so we still have to do those manually. But just to address the few tweets comment there, I went back and counted. Actually, there's been 12 tweets, distinct tweets, which averages to about 1 every 3 days. It's roughly on par with other similar projects. They've consisted of development updates, community feedback requests, data analytics, and stuff like that. We, of course, intend to post as much as possible while sticking to our overall ethos regarding public communications. As I mentioned, we did implement a new system since the last AMA, which is what I mentioned we would do. It formalizes our marketing schedule, and it allows us to post to multiple accounts. We did add a Blue Sky account and have revitalized our Threads account, as I mentioned. We also intend to post updates to our LinkedIn to grow our presence there. I want to just zoom out a bit from this question, recognize that these remarks tend to come in when the market is in a downtrend, like we've seen since the last AMA. Since the last AMA until now, the kind of whole broader market, especially for altcoin projects, has been in a downtrend. I will comment on that briefly to just say that no amount of marketing is going to prevent our exposure to the broader market and larger trends. When SaucerSwap had that period of explosive growth by pretty much all metrics roughly 1 year ago, that was not due to an increase in marketing. In fact, it came shortly after the release of SaucerSwap version 2 in the prior November, and then we started having that growth occur in December, going to the next year, January, February, March. That lends credence to the idea that development and building real value is the key to growth. That is our focus this year with our updated roadmap. We firmly believe that is the best strategy. So you can expect that our marketing will articulate our development going forward. And we do continue to maintain that stance that development leads, product leads, marketing articulates, and that's the best strategy for long-term growth.
Very well said, sir. We've built in a bear and doing the best we can. Maurice has another question for us. How many developers are in your team, and do you plan on hiring more developers to speed up development?
Yeah, good direct question. Currently, we have 5 developers on our team, and we do plan to hire more developers this year.
Awesome, Peter. This next one is from our very own Septia. Hi, Septia. The team has expressed their views on insurance funds multiple times previously, but given the pre-compile exploit from long ago and serial hack more recently, is it something to consider? And then another one from a Anon. Can the DAO create this insurance fund? Can it be funded in part with the trade fees? Can it be funded via attacks on users that repeatedly ask about central exchange listings or complain about the Sauce token not putting their yacht Lambos on the moon? Question mark. What are your thoughts?
I like that idea, actually. That's a pretty good idea. Yeah, but in all seriousness, this idea of an insurance fund or emergency fund is obviously top of mind for the Hedera ecosystem after the incident with Serial last week. So there are a few things to note here, actually, kind of just two, one internal and then one regarding broader ecosystem initiatives. So I'll start with that one. The Hashgraph DeFi Alliance had a call on Thursday, and this matter was discussed. It was specifically around having a strategic fund that can help in times like this. I think it's well understood that any one project or even an alliance would have a very difficult time coming up with upwards of $2 million, which to my knowledge is the approximate cost of the Serial exploit to, make users whole again. But the HDA did discuss having a fund for so-called secondary costs associated with incidents of that sort, such as hiring engineers to work on potential fixes, legal costs, stuff like that. I know that's not exactly what users who are affected want to hear, but it is important for the ecosystem nonetheless. On the SaucerSwap side, concerning the DAO, I think that would be an appropriate use of funds if that ever occurred on SaucerSwap, like an incident like that occurred on SaucerSwap. If the DAO chose to use those funds to reimburse users who were affected in that hypothetical situation, that would be a governance matter. And I think it's worth discussing. Beyond that, I don't think there is a strong use case for the specific idea of redirecting trading fees or the like to a separate fund just for that purpose. Because again, the DAO treasury does act as a catch-all for broader community endeavors. So I think that's an appropriate way to account for those funds.
Sorry, I don't have a comment about what you just said. I've been practicing this next person's name. So H Bar says, any ideas on how to attract more liquidity to the DEX? What about additional pools with cryptos that are a popular choice to complement HBAR portfolios, such as XRP?
Yeah, so not to sound like a broken record, interoperability is the most important thing for attracting more liquidity to SaucerSwap. That allows us to tap into the larger Web3 landscape and market our product to more users. I also think this brand refresh and website redesign will play a supporting but important role by elevating our image and stepping forward into a product that aligns both with the interests of our existing users as well as potential institutions that we have strong reason to believe have been eyeing our project for some time, but have not yet made the commitment to LP in SaucerSwap pools. So part of our qualitative evaluation that I mentioned, I think 2 AMAs ago, this was a consistent piece of feedback, was the branding. So I think that by addressing that, we can unlock a new segment of users and institutions, so high value accounts. That brand refresh, again, it's just a way to broaden our positioning, similar to interoperability broadening. In the Hedera ecosystem, we've more or less kind of hit the ceiling, so it's now a exercise in expansion.
I personally like the way that the new branding and everything's going, and I think it's the correct call personally. Next question from Anonymous. This is a great question. What would happen if the Trump coin load at the peak of Solana DEX happened on SaucerSwap? I mean, how many gigawatts and gigaflops are we talking here, Peter?
Yeah, that's above my pay grade. But so to answer I think this is like a traffic question specifically for the website, is how I'm interpreting it. So with that in mind, based on the extensive work we have done on our backend and architecture, I would guess that SaucerSwap would continue to work without a hitch. We have had really high periods of periods of high traffic before, and our systems were not really equipped to deal with that. We have since addressed that. I think that we would be able to meet the demands pretty easily now. We have a containerized system. We auto scale to meet traffic demands. So in theory, there should be no interruptions to the interface. Of course, the EVM layer and the Hedera token service would have no issues meeting the higher demands of that hypothetical situation. So again, I think this is mostly meant about the website. So yeah, I think we could handle it.
Yeah, I think so too. It'd be a good problem to have. I'd like to see us take it on for sure. Maurice, just sitting on the soapbox today. All right. Maurice says, what will be the upcoming catalysts for SaucerSwap's popularity in the coming weeks?
Yeah, I think there are several items on the near-term roadmap that can generate a lot of interest. It's kind of the same items I've been talking about that we are currently working on: new website design, new image and branding, adequate interoperability tooling with Axelar and Layer 0 coming up, as well as one thing that I've not mentioned yet, but I think is, offers an opportunity for substantial growth, would be a new collaboration with the HBAR Foundation. So that, the HBAR Foundation, of course, has been going through some transformation recently. We had a call with Charles Atkins, I want to say a few weeks ago. It was in the new year, but it was an excellent call. And we see an opportunity here to collaborate with the foundation on some new endeavors that can substantially help us scale our project. So that would be the last thing I would mention. So the kind of website branding, interoperability, and collaborations with the foundation.
LFG, buddy. Ict has a question for us. Trailer crumbs on the immediate goals SaucerSwap team hope to achieve from upcoming HederaCon 2025. Cheers for Joseph. Thumbs up.
Joseph and Marcus from our team will be attending HederaCon as well as ETH Denver. I know the main goal here is to network and meet as many people as possible. We are especially interested in meeting institutional players who may just be getting involved on Hedera or looking for ways to participate in the ecosystem. Of course, HederaCon will be Hedera focused, which is awesome, but I'm personally more excited about ETH Denver. HederaCon is going to be a really fun event, but Hedera is a bit of an insular network, and I think the opportunity for growth exists more so by networking with players who maybe don't know about Hedera, or have heard of it but don't know the different projects that are live on the network. So there's going to be more people at ETH Denver, more people from other networks. That presents a very valuable opportunity to network. And I think that presents a lot of potential value to us. So that will be the focus of those events primarily, is networking and just making new connections.
When SolanaCon? Next question from Anonymous. SaucePro has disappeared from the radar. Nothing in the roadmap, even though it was announced as a project on May 20th, 2023. Any updates?
I don't have an update regarding the timeline. You will notice that SaucePro has been left out of the roadmap for the time being. That is just to manage expectations. It's not an indication that we've given up on the endeavor. In fact, one thing we were discussing internally with one of our recent hires, John, who is awesome. He is incredibly qualified, has worked on a few major projects before. He recently joined our team, and yeah, he is awesome. But we were talking recently about what it would look like to create a WebSocket version of the interface that allows for intra-minute updates. So basically real time for very serious traders. That would be, of course, more expensive to run and maintain. So it would need some sort of authorization model. It's also not a great solution for people who don't have very good access to the internet. So currently our communication protocols, HTTP. WebSocket is not so good for like shoddy internet connections, but if you have a great connection, it's just better than HTTP for like real-time updates. But whether that sort of, premium experience falls within like SaucePro or something like that remains to be seen. There are definitely potential use cases for that sort of model, like the one I just mentioned. It's not something that we will be implementing, at least in the first half of this year. But yeah, something like that, like a premium trading experience or something like that is a potential use case.
Thanks for that insight, Peter. This next one is from Anand. When will limit orders or future orders be introduced on SaucerSwap? And also, when will SaucerSwap app be released for iOS?
Those items, the limit orders and SaucerSwap app for iOS as well as Android, are both on the near-term roadmap. The latter does not require smart contract work, the app, so it may happen before limit orders, but that's speculative for now as we haven't officially started developing limit orders at the contract level. So for that item specifically, it is a bit difficult to give an exact timeline considering the need for audits and stuff like that, integration with our existing core contracts. There's just more moving parts. So not sure which one's going to happen first, but they are both on the near-term roadmap.
Well, that makes sense. Next question is, Base Chain is pursuing builders to build an order book exchange. Do you see yourself in the future implementing one as well?
We have discussed an order book exchange internally as well. I think we discussed this on a previous AMA. There is definitely potential for an order book exchange. There is, I think, actually a unique potential on Hedera to do it with the Hedera consensus service. It's similar, I think, to what Lehman talked about in the early lectures about, putting like the New York Stock Exchange on the Hedera consensus service. You could do that in a kind of DeFi spirited way with an order book DEX that uses HCS. And I think it would be a really good use case. It's not on our immediate roadmap. We think someone should build it. It would be a really good product, and it would not be like an existential competitor with SaucerSwap. I think it would just be a value add for the ecosystem and just bring more value to Hedera. So I don't see it as like an existential risk that someone builds an order book exchange. It seems like it would just be like a rising tide lifts all boats sort of situation. Certainly a complementary product that would increase trade volume, arbitrage opportunities, etc. on Hedera.
Thanks for that, Peter. This next one is from Anand. Uniswap supports multiple chains. Does SaucerSwap have any plans to go multi-chain? It would be a cool way to attract more customers.
Yes, we are open to a multi-chain strategy. We will almost certainly pursue this in the future when it is strategically advantageous to do so. Up until now, it has been better to keep developing exclusively on Hedera. I will mention that even in the eventuality that we do go multi-chain, which I think is quite likely, Hedera will continue to be the primary network for SaucerSwap. So just to, quell any anxiety, we would not consider a multi-chain approach that compromises our ability to continue building value on Hedera.
I like that. Next question, was SaucerSwap asked to be a part of the Hashgraph online DAO? If yes, why did you not join?
Yeah, no, we saw that announcement when it came out. I don't think we were asked to be part of the Hashgraph online DAO. We would have happily participated, and if someone reaches out, I think it was Cantor is kind of behind it. So Cantor, if you're listening, feel free to reach out. We would be happy to participate.
Alrighty, a fun question from Anonymous. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Neptune, Uranus, or Pluto, which do you make your new home and why? I'll go ahead and start. That's a fun question. I think if atmospheric pressure, sulfuric acid clouds, and like 450 miles per hour winds weren't an issue. I think staying in Venus for a few years would be pretty cool. Microbial life hasn't been detected yet, but there's been debates that conditions around the Venus's global clouds may be able to support microbial life. So I think it'd be pretty cool to identify and sequence those and just compare that to what we have on Earth. Anyone else want to answer that?
Uranus. That's all I got. Okay, in all seriousness, guys, this was a fantastic AMA. But before we have our final words from Pineapple, before we shut it down, what do you have for us?
Thanks, ABFTFW, and thank you to all that submitted questions. We really value your input and involvement within the SaucerSwap community. But before we sign off today, like we do every AMA, the team would like to award a community member the Dogstar Award. And so this award is given to members who have helped the Hedera community and the SaucerSwap community ecosystem. This could be either through continued post engagement or content. For our February Dogstar, we'd like to congratulate Light Larry. You've been really awesome. Thank you for all that you've done for the community and just keep grinding. Please create a support ticket to claim your prize. And with that, you guys have a great day, and I hope that you guys will be able to come to ETH Denver and HederaCon and meet Joseph and Marcus.
Yeah, thank you everyone for attending. If any of you are in Denver later this month, please come say hi to Joseph or Marcus. We won't have a booth, but we will be there. So come say hi and chat with the team. Have a great rest of your month, and we'll see you on the next AMA next month. Take care.